welcome to this week's offering, where we follow Inspector Jacques Clouseau across the world, causing havoc as he goes once again in search of, well, whatever it is he goes in search of. It was the Pink Panther a long time ago. Not quite sure he's doing that anymore. Stunt coordinators are Dick Crockett from the US and John Sullivan from the UK, and Joe Dunne is Peter Sellers' double. So much to get on with. Let's take a look. So the Pink Panther strikes again. A lot to get through, so we will crack on. I think this is one of my favourites of the Peter Sellers ones. We start, of course, with him visiting Dreyfus at the home for the confused. And a little croquet to start. Trick shot. Ooh. And Eddie Stacey steps up to double Herbert Lom. Landing in the water. The swan always makes me laugh when I see that shot. Are you all right, ex-chief superintendent? Grabs hold of him. This is a lovely piece of business as well. This really is. The timing on this is fantastic. Does it beautifully.
All right. See?
Oh, look at that. It's fantastic. That's really nice. Lots of physical farce is terrific. I mean, you can have well-crafted scripts, but occasionally you just need physical. On the subject of physical, here's the lads, and they've got hold of Herbert Lom, Roy Scammell on the left, and Rocky Taylor on the right. Rocky pops up again later on. Ah! It's old Cato, Joe Dunne, and Malcolm Weaver doubling the two leads here. Fancy work going on. I love the way they've speeded it up and then slow it right down again. He really gives him one here. Look at this. Bang! Oof, dear. I felt that. This is what televisions used to look like, by the way, for those of you who have no idea why that huge box in the corner just exploded. That's what that was. And a rather well-equipped wardrobe of equipment. Oh, oops. And again, this is lost it. Burt Kwok does this himself. Look, over, backwards, flip, up, and he has to hit he's nearly hit that table. He's very clever to come out of the way there. But all of this is, and then Joe, oops, and there goes Malcolm, and Dreyfus is with his periscope. Oop, gets hit. Now I have no idea who's doubling him here. That's Joe Dunne very clearly. I don't know who's doubling Dreyfus. We may assume that it's Eddie Stacey based on what we know before, but again, this has not been confirmed. But the slow motion thing's terrific. It runs off in the opposite direction. And this is, for me, a really clever... Again, there's no music here. You know, the physical farce itself is enough. They just turn at the same time. It's very clever. And then... Oh.
It's the phone.
Saved by the bell.
The phone is ringing.
Whack! Have that. Look at that. It's fantastic. Malcolm doing a cracking job there. Lovely. This was deleted from the film, but this is how he got to... this ended up in Trailer the Pink Panther. So a couple of things. There's Dorothy Ford, who is the first passenger who goes round him. There's Nosha, who goes round him as well. This young lady is Joanna Dixon. She's an actress, and she's now doubled by Terry Plummer in this particular section. Look down the stairs. But that's Joe going down the stairs. Terry lands on top of her. Top of him, rather. And then she's swapped. And out of nowhere, Billy Horrigan pops up there. Again, the amount of people that are at the bottom of the stairs who were there originally, the maths doesn't work out. Here's a very famous sequence. The old gymnasium, eh? Now, and again, clever editing. This is all Peter. Pavlova of the parallels and the little jump. And there's Joe. who takes over for this section. This is a fair drop as well, but the stairfall itself, up, bump, and then it kind of steps down a couple and rolls down the last few. And it's the two-man switch. We've talked about the two-man switch before. There's a perfect example of it in action. Have another look. Joe over on air and lands right behind, and then Peter pops up. This is Mr. Stutt, the gardener, who is, of course, George Leach. And gets this in the face. Oops. Now, the president in the movie is our stunt coordinator, one of them anyway. This is Dick Crockett. And there he is. As Clouseau goes off to the Oktoberfest in Germany to, well, be attacked by a number of assassins, as we'll see as we go along here. The first is actor, famous for Bond films particularly. You'll recognise him when you see him. That's Anthony Chin, I believe. The actor, he's been in a number of Bonds. He is being watched by Rocky Taylor. Look, a very, very exciting hat. Eating an ice cream. So, comes up and now decides to put a silencer on as he's standing behind him. Look, he's got little things in his shoes. Very, very Rosa Klebb if you're a Bond fan. And then Rocky himself then gets disposed of by another assassin who is Terry Maidment. We'll catch Terry a little later on as well, but he's the assassin here. And Rocky's done for the day. Look, crowds, everybody. You remember crowds? They used to be really popular at one time, and people all drinking and no, not a mask inside. Oh, the 70s were simpler times, weren't they? Yes, crowds of people dancing, bouncing up and down to Papa music. This guy is called Deep Roy. Trust me, he is. He's an actor and is credited with many stunts on various pictures. The big chap here with the wig and the voluptuous figure, I don't know who that is, but there he's going to fall on a table where Joe Dunne is, look. So I don't know who that is. He's not credited on the picture either. Walking away, and who now? We have Jack Cooper. Stuntman Jack Cooper now decides to follow our hero, who's decided he needs to go 10-100, or maybe 10-200, I don't know. So, our Jack then. Again, all these assassins who decide at the last moment to put silencers on, decides to go in there. And it's survival of the fittest, look, they're all racing around. Oh, right, so they're in. This is, again, a lovely piece of business. Oh, right, so they're all in the right place. Drops the toilet roll. Goes down to get it. And the other two shoot each other. Brilliant. Ah, dear. Fantastic. And then he gets mugged. Look. Bloke's... Oh. So he does the decent thing. For you. And walks off. Sensible option. Best way around it. The nightclub scene. This is fantastic as well. There's a great deal of... The phone call obviously happened and they said, look, lads, we need you to come in here and do this. In the background, there's Mark McBride sat at the table. And Ainsley Jarvis, the character. Of course, the actor, whose name eludes me at the moment. The two villains arrive. Look, it's Terry Plummer and Peter Brace. They're the two lads who are going to start causing havoc. After the song, and there's lots of dancing going on behind. He gets done by Sid Childs and Chrome, the parrot. Of course, Sid was Dinah Regg's double for many years. There's Eddie Eden and Mark McBride having a dance in the background. And two Eddies, Eddie Powell, Eddie Stacey. Romo's in that room as well. Very fine dancer. I'll point him out to you in a moment. So the lads decide, right, Let's go in and get them. Look at Mark McBride's face. This is where the fight starts. She feints. Kick. Ooh. Bang. There we are. Terry comes in for a go. There's Paul, Weston and Romo. Romo, a very fine dancer in ballroom dancing. Gets thrown across the room. Lands in on top of Les Crawford, who just happens to be sitting there enjoying a pina colada. And Sid then decides to take charge of Plummer and throws him across the room and lands on these pair. I don't know what these guys are doing. Mark McBride, look, overdoing the 70s camp just a touch there with his very fine acting skills with Eddie. And here's a moment where there's Dorothy Ford. Peter goes in and is grabbed by Sid, who puts him over the shoulder. Sid's very strong woman. Puts him over the shoulder, right? Got him. And there's the two Eddies in the background again, earning every penny of their equity card. And very clearly, Peter Sellers over Sid's shoulder. They go round the once. Then they make the cut. And as the cut turns up here, there Joe Dunne takes over. Slightly different positioning, but obviously it means that he can be on board when he clatters into these two as he goes round. Throws them both across the room. Look, and now Sid's going to dispose of him after got him dizzy enough. Takes him across the room and he's going to dump him on this little sofa over here into Les Crawford again. In the background, look, Frank Mayer. Frank Mayer was, of course, the Patrick McGowan's double on Danger Man. So yeah, there we are. Ooh, Plummer gives Sid a slap, and then these lads, well, I don't know what they're doing. They're grabbing on, throwing him out to the way. Peter Brace gives Clouseau one as well. Now, in the castle, towards the end of the picture, Clouseau has disguised himself as, well, a suit of armour. Standard operating procedure. Looking around the room and thinking, how can I get from where to... Oh, hang on. There's a handy piece of rope. And then this is all Joe Dunne. Now, bear in mind, this is in armour. It may not be real armour. It may be rubberised. But nevertheless, it's quite heavy to work with. Trip down the stairs and then out through the window. That's one shot. This is another shot coming out, and this is a third shot as he drops, well, I would say 25, 30 feet there. And that's some landing. Now, Terry York, one of the henchmen. And this is Joe Dunne in character as Clouseau. There's no need for Peter Sellers to do this. You can't see his face. So he's doing all of this. This is Joe Dunne doing everything here. Sits himself down. And then Sellers takes over and the helmet is removed. But again, being the character. That's why Joe Dunne was such an extraordinary double. And of course, all of this is Joe. This is wired, of course. He's a wire rig shot on the catapult being thrown. There you see the positioning, and the wire is obviously a crane wire. Takes him up. And then similarly, he is brought up on a wire and lands on the tip of the laser. It'll bring tears to your eyes, won't it? And down he goes. Good stuff. Now, of course, as that then spins around, and eventually we lose part of Dreyfus. Here's Bill Cummings, one of the other henchmen, John Sullivan, who's the other stunt coordinator on the picture. This is him. Now, this is a handhold. There's no cables here. This is the top of a train. The helicopters come down. This is Mark Wolf in the helicopter, incidentally. Has come down very, very low to get on top of this train. And Johnny Sullivan now has to hang on. This is a physical hold. We talked about physical holds before with Martin Grace in For Your Eyes Only. This is a physical hold. There are no wires. This is a choice of the performer. He's also the coordinator, so he is allowing himself a certain area to say, no, I'm happiest holding this. We're only going to be in the air for a period of time. But this is a helicopter shot looking at the helicopter. Now, and of course, I think this helicopter lifts very quickly and goes quite high. I would say at its highest point, it's probably 80 to 90, maybe a little bit more feet above the train, above the land, above the ground below. It's a very impressive shot. I've slowed this down quite some time, quite considerably, because it skips by in the picture. So we are seeing a great deal more of it than we would normally. But he's hanging on. So I've moved in a little bit here so we can have a slightly better look at it. But it is a handhold, and you have to be very physically strong in order to hang on for a period of time. This is all one shot, by the way. These are, if you think this is edited, that's because I've edited it. It's quite poorly done, that's why. But nevertheless, that's a very impressive shot. And look, I would say he's a good 80, 90 feet above the ground there. Right. That's quite an impressive shot. Terry Richards and John Sullivan, of course, play two other characters. Here's another little blink and you'll miss it moment. Terry Maidment is our knife man. We spotted him earlier on. And who comes to retrieve the case? Well, it's Joe Powell. Pops up out of nowhere. I'll have that, thank you. And of course there is the wonderful ending, this superb bed, which of course becomes the focal point for the fight at the end, where Peter Sellers is now doubled by Rocky Taylor for this particular drop, forces them through. So there's Rocky at the top there, and he finds himself wrapped in a blanket. I'm not quite sure how this happened, but obviously this is a separate shot. That was the first shot. This is a separate shot. Rocky Taylor doubling Sellers, Malcolm Weaver doubling Cato, and Dorothy Ford doubling Leslie Ann down. And they are going down very, very quickly. Rocky Taylor remembering that he went down quite deeply into the water and had a bruise on his back, which was a fair size. But an extraordinary ending to an extraordinary movie. Back to the Pink Panther series at a later stage, but next week we're in London in 1981 and we watch one man's empire collapse because of a greedy courier. That is The Long Good Friday, and that's what we're going to be looking at next week. So until then, bye for now.